I don't know if you have heard that there are some groups of people that have decided to maybe identify as not as a male nor as a female. And then we have different groups that have moved from identifying as a female to a male. And then we have a lot of young people that have been exposed to these mindsets. And along the line, they have missed it. I've seen videos of real life teenagers online that transitioned from one gender to another whilst they were younger in their age. And now they are beginning to rethink those decisions that they made in teenage. And so I know we might think that this is so far away from us, but it is not. And that is why this series that we are starting today is critical. And we will be talking all through the month of April. We'll be talking about sexuality. And I've said that this series is titled Sexuality Series. We're going to be talking about sexuality education. What should we be telling our children? What should we be saying to them? How should we teach them some of these concepts? This is critical for us for the month of April. It's the Resurrection Month. Happy New Month again, everyone. My name is Ajayi. I'm your teens coach extraordinaire, and I am the founder of the Germane Teens Initiative. So this evening, I want to kickstart this series on sexual education, or what I would call sexuality in general. You know, anytime we hear the word sexuality or anything that's kind of related to sex, people are thinking, oh, that's an immoral conversation, that's immorality and all of that. But the truth is that we are sexual beings, and we were not created as sexual beings as a mistake, because I don't believe for 1 second that God didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was. I don't for 1 minute believe that God did not know what he was doing when he created man, and he created them male and female. You know, the Bible says he made them male and female in his own image, in his own likeness. So I've seen hearing a case of someone saying, oh, I'm no longer a male, or I feel like I'm a male in a woman's body, or I feel like I'm a female in a man's body, I need to transition. And then we start seeing all these things happening. And then you see someone says, oh, I'm neither a male nor a female. Please refer to me as they, them. They, them. So, for example, if I was going to say, Tanya is going to school tomorrow, she will be back. She'll be back next week. I cannot say Tanya is going to school tomorrow, she'll be back from school next week. I have to say Tanya is going to school tomorrow, they will be back next week. You know, all kinds of concepts, all kinds of ideas coming up. And this is the world that we are raising our children. This is the world that we are raising our children. So it is critical that we begin to teach them the right things. It is critical that we begin to show them the right things. We begin to, as early as possible, expose their mind to what it is supposed to be. Because when we don't teach them, Google is going to teach them. Now ChatGPT is going to teach them. If you type this topic, sexuality education, on ChatGPT, trust me, there are a lot of things that you would see that you may not want to teach your children. So now is the time for us to begin to be intentional about the kind of knowledge that our children are exposed to. It is critical, it is important. And we cannot push this to tomorrow. We can't say, oh, my children are babies, they are too small, they cannot understand. Trust me, they can understand. Start to show it to them, start to teach it to them. It's better we pay the price now than we have to pay the price in the future. So I would want to start from just talking about what I feel sexuality education represents. You know that a lot of things are taught in schools around sexuality education, around reproduction, around puberty, and all of that. But I want to talk about sexuality education in the context of scriptures, because if we choose to go outside the concept of scriptures, it's a different ballgame altogether. So let us learn to talk. Firstly, we're going to talk about the human body, the human anatomy, and how we can teach our children about their bodies. I know this is a topic that's really sensitive for many of us, because some of us might have grown in environments where conversations around that doesn't really happen. So it's difficult to even broach those topics. But we need to find a way, because this is very important. So you want to, first of all, be the one that teaches your child about their reproductive system. Be the one that tells them, okay, you're a boy and that is why you have a penis. You're a girl and that's why you have a vagina, and all of that. So that conversation should come from us to our children first, so that whatever information they are giving outside might either be a confirmation of what they already know, or they can now come back to say, oh, this is what we were taught in school, and but this is what you said, mommy, but this is what you said, daddy, and this is what we're taught in school, that there are not just 2 genders, there are 3 genders. In fact, now there are 7 or 8 genders. What do you have to say about that? So, but because you have started that conversation with them by firstly introducing them to their gender and their identity in the home, it's easier for them to come back and say, oh, mom, this is what I heard, or dad, this is what I heard, and then that conversation can continue. So we need to step outside our fears. We need to step outside our comfort zones, because some of us are in those comfort zones where we feel, no, I cannot talk about that. No, growing up, if as a young child you ask questions around sex or sexuality, you are going to be termed a spoiled child, in quotes. So many of us shied away from speaking about these things. But the truth is that this generation, they have access. They have access to information, knowledge. So you cannot pretend not to be aware of that. So as a boy approaches puberty, he is going to experience erections, some level of erections. He should not experience erections before you have had that conversation with him, so that when it happens, it's a confirmation of a conversation that has already happened. So if there are unique experiences that child sees, he can come to you, or she can come to you and say, oh, this is what I experienced. I know you said this was going to happen, but it really didn't happen that way, and this is my experience. So that conversation is a continuous conversation. Now for girls, mommies and daddies, conversations around menstruation, your cycle, around cleanliness, around how to prepare for your first menstrual cycle. This conversation should happen way before the cycle actually starts. In my time as a girl, the very day my monthly period started was the day I had a sit down. So sit down, it has started. Now this is what this thing that you have seen is, and now you cannot go close to any boy, because the moment you are close to a boy, you will get pregnant now. And I know so many persons had that same kind of counsel. We were kind of counseled with fear, told that if you go close to a guy, you would get pregnant just because you have started your monthly cycle. We cannot afford to treat this generation the same way. It's not going to work. So, what do we do? We teach before it happens. We teach before it happens. We talk to them about their bodies. We show them what they should do. We teach them ahead of time so that when it happens, yes, there will be some level of anxiety or whatever, but it's not going to be compared to when the child is not prepared. Okay, the second thing I would like us to talk about today is consent. The concept of consent. The concept of consent. You know that in this part of the world, consent is something that people do not really pay attention to. So someone wants to greet a little child and he hugs the girl or carries the girl and puts the girl on his lap without consent. And if the child tries to resist, you say the child is not properly trained. Not properly trained. So, we must teach our children the concept of consent. Nobody's supposed to touch you, touch your body parts, have contact with you. It doesn't matter who, whether it is a family member, whether it is a loved one, whether it is a sibling, whether it is a teacher, whether it is a friend. No one is allowed. No one is allowed. The only people that are allowed are the people you give consent. And as a child, the only people you can give consent are the people that are in charge of your well-being, and it is for the purpose of cleanliness. Maybe your mother is in charge of bathing you or in charge of ensuring that you bathe properly. For that purpose, yes. So, but a case where I had something happened not very long ago, and there was a scenario, and a young man was trying to befriend a little girl, saying all kinds of things. Hey, hug me, shake me, I'm your uncle, I'm, close to you. And it just becomes it makes somebody very uncomfortable. But because of the environment we find ourselves, you see that some children actually just flow with that kind of behavior. What happens is, if we don't teach them consent, when they come in contact with predators, they will not know. They will not understand. And in teaching them consent, we teach refusal skills. Because every child should be able to say no. They should be able to say no to you, the parents. I know we don't like that one. Yes. Your children should be able to say no to you. Do you know why this is so important? Because it means that if they can say no to you, they can say no to anyone, including a predator. But if we have trained them with the mindset that anybody that is an adult is always right, you have to respect everybody, whatever it is they say, you must do. Don't be disobedient. Don't talk back at me. Don't explain yourself. If we raise children in that manner, we don't teach them refusal skills. If they refuse, don't shut them down. What you owe them is an explanation. Oh, okay, you said no. Why did you say no? Oh, wow, okay. But this is why I think you should do this, and I want you to do this, because it is for your good. And then you explain patiently to the child. You know why this is very important? When you have raised a child that cannot say no to you, that child is a risk. That child is a risk. So, we need to teach them concept of what I call it consent, and then refusal skills. And in teaching that, we need to let them understand how to develop or build healthy relationships, healthy relationships. Not just relationships for the purpose of nothing, a purposeless relationship. Well, we have to teach them how to build healthy relationships. In fact, how to identify healthy relationships. Sorry, the light is gone off. What happened? Aha. Okay. So, as we are teaching concepts, we are teaching how to identify healthy relationships. You know that there are relationships that make you better. There are relationships that make you worse. For example, a relationship where you share the same values with those you are in that relationship with, where there's trust, where there's respect, where there's communication, mutual respect. That's a relationship to continue. A relationship where someone is abusing you or trying to control you or finding a way to manipulate you, we know that that is an unhealthy relationship. There was a time my daughter said something to me. She said, Mom, there is a girl in my class. She's my friend. And because she's my friend, I don't have time to be friendly with other people. And I'm like, really? Why? Yeah, of course you can have one friend and you can have other friends. So that you are friends with this person doesn't mean that you can be friends with other people. And then she says something like, oh, I have to wait for her to write in class. So if I finish writing a particular subject, I have to wait for her to finish writing, that page before I turn to the other page. And I'm like, why? Why would you have to wait for her? She said, because she also waits for me. I know, right? She also waits for me when she finishes before me. So we keep waiting for each other. And I'm like, why would you guys do that? He says, so that because we are friends now, I want us to continue to be friends. And so, because our girl children especially are prone to this, because girls have a certain manner with which they want their friendships or their relationships to go. They want to do anything to treasure that relationship, to keep it. So we must begin to teach them how to identify relationships that are not for their good. And we should not wait for them to make those friends before we teach them. Because when a child is already in an unhealthy relationship, by the time you are telling this relationship, this friendship is not a good one, this thing really, by the time you're making all those comments, it doesn't really impact as much as when you would have prepared that child to know what is a healthy relationship and what is not healthy. Any relationship, any friendship that the person seeks to abuse you, constantly puts you down, constantly wants to control your actions, wants to control what you say, how you feel, wants to be in charge of your life, and in fact, you have no say of your own, wants to manipulate you, that is not a relationship. That is not a friendship. Now is the time to teach them that. So a friend would respect you. A friend should be able to speak to you. A friend should not give you ultimatums unnecessarily. A friend there should be trust. There should be respect. There should be some level of values that are being shared. And if that's not the case, then you are not in a healthy friendship or a healthy relationship. So teaching our girls, especially this, is critical, extremely critical to their survival in this world where we are living. Okay, so my goodness, the time is fast spent. Let me quickly rush to teaching self-identity or teaching body acceptance. This is very, very important because many young people are not comfortable in their bodies. So there's this obsession And sometimes this obsession can lead to body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia is a case where someone begins to worry or fret so badly about a particular body feature. Maybe the shape of the nose, and the person will just say, my nose is pointing down, it's supposed to point up, and will pick that particular I won't even call it a disability, maybe something that they don't like about themselves, and they will make that thing exalted to the point that it becomes an obsession. So they are obsessive about a particular part of their body, and they are so worried. So that is why we must begin to teach them body acceptance. It means that you are made in the image and the likeness of God. You are God's creation. You're beautiful the way you are. Because there is this standard of beauty that is being sold by the media. The standard of beauty, there's a certain way girls should look. There's a certain way boys should look. If he doesn't look that way, then he's a girl. If she doesn't look that way, then he's a boy. We need to be smarter than the devil. We need to be smarter than the devil. Because when we create these narratives, we begin to lay the foundation or sow the seed for issues like gender body dysmorphia. We begin to sow that seed into the hearts of our children. So it's a time to let them know who they are. Affirm their uniqueness to them. You're unique, you're special, made in the image and the likeness of God. You cannot be any other person. You are made a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. 1 Peter 2 verse 9 talks about us being a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a peculiar people set aside. If they don't believe it, then that's the time to create affirmations. Write them down. Let them begin to speak these things to themselves. Day in, day out. Trust me, there's power in repetition. As they begin to say it, they begin to believe it. Joseph knew who he was. He knew who he was. Despite that he was sold into slavery by his brothers, his identity remained. He knew the son of who he was. And that's why when he went into Potiphar's house, even as a slave, he behaved as a king. As a slave, he behaved as a king. When he was doing so well, his master promoted him, helped him, caused him to triumph, gave him awesome responsibilities. And then Potiphar's wife tried to lure him into immorality. And what did Joseph say to her? He said, I will not do this wickedness against God and against my master. He knew he was not a wicked person. He knew who he was, and he was able to stand by that. So now is the time. Joseph was a teenager when he was sold into slavery. So it means that these things had already been ingrained into his subconscious growing up as a young boy. So that is why we cannot afford to slack. In this generation, the earlier we start, the better. The earlier we start, the better. Self-identity. Oh my goodness. Self-identity is important, because if you don't know who you are, you will fall. You can become anything. You can become anything. That's the world that we find ourselves. I see a lot of people, especially those around this area, wanting to relocate to greener pastures. I know they have young children, and I'm thinking, do they really understand the environment that they're moving into? Do they understand the culture? Do they know what these children are going to have to face? Because even some of our children that have not relocated get to relate with other children, both here and elsewhere. So the world is a global village. So you will not say, oh, this thing does not really happen in Nigeria like that. It does not happen around here. It's only in the abroad they used to see. It's not true. It is happening here. And even if you think it is not happening here, the world is a small circle like this. With this phone and with these gadgets that you have given to your children and have exposed them to the internet, on the internet, the world is one small circle like this. It's just a world wide web of connected computers. Everyone is connected. The world is just this small cycle, a small one. So your children are in the same chat spaces with children in the US, in the UK, in Canada, everywhere. They're in the same chat rooms. They are gaming together. Yes, they are gaming together. Thank you, Queen. I'm well, thank you. They are gaming together. I want to see comments from Facebook as well. I'm seeing comments on YouTube. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, thank you. So they are gaming together. They are on different social media platforms. They're on TikTok together. They're on Snapchat together. They're on these different social media platforms together, and they see, they understand, and they have access. That's why it's important for us to begin to teach them, because whatever it is that we teach them, whatever their identity is, whatever it is that they know that they are, whoever they know that they are, is who they will be when you are not there. That's what happened in the case of Joseph. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. He found himself in a foreign land, living there as a slave. But he did not forget. The Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Training up a child is not just the way we think he should grow, but there is a way that is set for a child to go. Please, parents, don't forget to pray for your children, and will be parents. Now is the time to start to pray for them. As we talk to them, as we teach them, as we mentor them, we also must pray for them, because the Bible talks about the end times, that men will be lovers of themselves, not lovers of people, and then there will be evil. The Bible says that the heart of man is desperately wicked. Say, who can know it? So that is why, as we teach our children, we must continually cover them with prayers. Now, this holiday, what are we doing? What are our children exposed to this holiday? What are they exposed to? What are they doing with their time? Are they just watching cartoon from morning till night? Just watching cartoon? Watching movies? Do you know what the content of those cartoons and movies are? Are you seeing those movies? Hey, parents, we cannot afford to slack. I've seen cartoons where they are telling the girl is dressed as a boy and feeling like she doesn't really feel like a girl. It's a cartoon, no? So there is an agenda. There's an agenda of the devil to tilt this generation in an obscure direction. So it is our responsibility as parents in this generation to be smarter. And how can we be smarter? Because the devil is very smart. Trust me, the devil is not foolish. He is smart, so very, very smart. But we have to find a way to be smarter than the devil. And yes, we have the capacity to be, but we must be wise in our dealings. We must teach, we must mentor, we must pray, and we must guide. So this holiday is the best time to engage your children. And that's why this time we're having the Teens Word and Skills Camp 2025. That's the third season of our Easter camp for preteens and teenagers. This time we'll be doing it online so that everyone across the globe can participate throughout the period. It will be starting on the 21st to 25th of April 2025. It's going to be online, and exclusive to parents who register their children. So please and please register your children. What they stand to benefit: number one, they would be part of a community for 30 days. One of the things that we have done over the years is to start the 30 days quiet time challenge, because we know that a lot of children don't spend quiet time. They don't have that quality quiet time. So we'll go into a 30-day challenge for the children. Immediately camp is running to a close. So they're exclusively in that group. They have access to mentors to teach, to train, to help. And of course, they will be getting a free copy of the 30-day challenge devotional. So everyone that registers for this program will be getting a free copy of that devotional. So please register your teens, your pre-teens, your nieces, your nephews. Register all of them to be with us in camp. Camp is going to be for 1 week. Yay! It's going to be for 1 week, and we will be teaching skills such as self-confidence, developing your own self-identity. We'll be talking about digital literacy skills, because a lot of things are happening around digital illiteracy. I call it illiteracy amongst young people. So we're going to expose them to a lot, and the curriculum is massive. Trust me, we have speakers that will be coming in to have conversations with our children. And after that program for a week, we'll be together in a post-mentorship program for another 1 month, where we'll just work together and ensure that our children grow from where they are. Thank you for coming to this My Friday live session. I will be here again next week Friday, and we'll continue the series on sexuality. So please don't forget to teach your children something tonight, if they're not already asleep. But if they are, first thing in the morning, teach them something about themselves and their bodies. Have a wonderful and a fruitful night rest. God bless you. My name again is Ajayi. Bye. Oh.